Hello, I'm Death's Arrow, and welcome to episode 26 of WoT I'm Thinking. In this episode, I will look at the T28, an American tank destroyer that introduces the slow but heavily armored upper-tiered vehicles to the non-turreted USTD line. It should be noted that before I dive into the T28's history, that the vehicle in World of Tanks called the T28 didn't actually exist. The T28 was the original designation for the T95. The version in-game is essentially a modified version of the T95 without the outer tracks and lower hull extension below the gun mantlet. Why this fantasy TD was shoehorned in rather than something else is unknown. Lack of viable Tier 8 tank destroyer options is one possible theory. From a historical perspective, the T28 Super Heavy tank, also designated the 105mm gun motor carriage T95, was a prototype tank designed specifically to penetrate heavily fortified areas like the German defenses of the Siegfried Line. The proposed tank would have a low silhouette, no turret, on a 105mm gun T5E1, have 12 inches of frontal armor, and an estimated combat weight of 95 tons. The Pacific Car and Foundry Company started work on the pilot tanks in mid-1945 with an order of 5 T28s. In order to reduce the ground pressure of such a heavy vehicle, a double track system was installed. The outer tracks would be removed and towed when the tank was operating on a hard surface. This also permitted rail and ship transport. A four-man crew could remove or replace the outer tracks in approximately 2.5 hours. Considering that the T28 was powered by the same engine as the M26 Pershing, but at twice the weight, the tank's top speed was 8 miles per hour, although the recommended sustained cruising speed was 7 miles per hour. With the end of World War II, the number of pilot tanks was reduced to 2. The pilots were delivered to the Aberdeen Proving Grounds in December of 45 and January of 46 respectively. Testing of the tank continued to late 1947 with a total of 541 miles of operation completed. The tank was given very low priority to begin with after the war ended and was eventually canceled due to the War Department discontinuing development of combat vehicles in the 100-ton class. While thought to be scrapped, one of the prototypes, discovered in 1974 and was on display at the Patton Museum in Fort Knox until recently, where it was shipped to Fort Benning for the new Armor and Cavalry Museum. Construction of the new museum reportedly started this spring with no listed date for opening. The tanks that have been shipped to the museum are currently being stored outdoors in a fenced yard on the Fort Benning grounds. In World of Tanks, the T28 is a pretty radical departure from the playstyle of its predecessors. Mobility is replaced by armor and firepower. The reduction in mobility is quite significant as the TD is very slow in both straight-line movement as well as turning. The increase in armor, at least frontally, is a welcome addition, as well as the firepower of the 120mm top gun. The armor on the T28, as previously mentioned, is quite effective frontally, although it does have a well-known weak spot in the lower hull, which is only really effective against sub-200mm penetration guns. Armor angling comes in handy to enhance the armor, although you can only turn the hull so much before the weak sides become exposed. The hatches on top of the hull are also weak spots but are difficult to hit at range. The T28 mounts the 120mm AT gun T53 as its top gun. The gun ranks as the third most powerful gun on a Tier 8 tank, and it's just a hair less powerful than the Ferdy's 128mm gun, with the ISU's BL-10 as best in class. A higher rate of fire and faster aim time are where the 120mm gun of the T28 stands out versus the competition. Accuracy was a bit of an issue with this gun prior to the 8.6 patch, but has since improved and is quite viable for long-range sniping now. For most targets, standard AP rounds are quite effective with 248mm of penetration. Premium rounds are APCR and provide a 49mm penetration boost for more difficult targets. Generally speaking, AP rounds are plenty effective against most targets. Certain Tier 10 opponents being the obvious exception, as flanking isn't viable with such a slow platform. The T28 functions best as a second-line tank, providing supporting fire for advancing teammates. The tank is too slow and unmaneuverable to be on the front lines. Close quarters combat should be avoided if at all possible. The TD is very easy to flank, and without support it will get destroyed. Flank pushes, though, are possible with proper support, although the T28 is so slow that most teammates won't wait for it. Speaking of being slow, expect teammates to attempt to assist you with any hill climbing by pushing. It's wasted effort and likely to cause damage to the assisting tank. I'd rather those tanks move out and get into the battle than boost the T28's climbing speed by a kilometer per hour at best. For equipment on this tank, I'd recommend a rammer to improve reload time, an enhanced gun laying drive to improve aim time, and binocs to enhance view range for long-range sniping. A toolbox is also a viable alternative to help with track repair. For crew skills, I'd recommend repair first, as the T28 is slow and getting tracked is a death sentence, either by getting circled or artied. Other useful skills are camo, sixth sense, recon, clutch braking, off-road driving, situational awareness, and brothers in arms. The first replay I'll be looking at is a solo battle on Corellia from June 27, 2013. Please note that this is an 8.6 replay. The map for this battle is Corellia, and my basic strategy for this map is as follows. The key location on this map is the hill on the eastern side. Controlling the hill gives the team a huge advantage as it bogs the enemy down in the eastern valley and gives long lanes of fire to the other side of the map as well as both caps. Taking this location is pretty important, and I will rush to this spot at the beginning of the battle if I'm playing a faster tank and ideally have a numbers advantage over the enemy team. If my team doesn't have a numbers advantage, I'll still head to the eastern valley to get early spots on the enemy if they push the hill. While the western side of the map is less critical, it shouldn't be ignored. Some tanks are required to hold that flank and provide spotting if your team takes the hill. In the case of the upcoming replay, the slow T28 is better off helping the western flank than pushing into the valley. I'll get into more specifics on my in-game strategy in a moment when the replay starts. As noted at the top of the loading screen, this is a standard battle. Reviewing tank composition for this battle reveals the following. This is a Tier 9 match with 2 Tier 9s on each team. My team has 7 Tier 8s while the enemy team has 8. My team has 6 Tier 7s while the enemy team has 5. Both teams have a single Tier 7 arty piece. I don't recognize anyone in this battle. As the battle loads in, I know that my tank isn't fast enough to be much use in the eastern valley, so I've decided to cover the northwestern flank from the outlook at B7. This will give me good lanes of fire over that flank as well as the middle of the map, including the eastern hill. As the battle gets underway, I immediately will start heading to the west and north, get to my sniper position. There's a couple bushes in this location that'll provide me some soft cover. With just a single arty in the match, not expecting a lot of arty coverage on this side. Not to mention I have full camo on this crew, so I should be able to remain hidden. I've got a Comet out front, Tiger 2 following him. I've got 25/2 next to me. I've got a T30 on the swamp side of the middle. My team is heavily pushing the eastern valley with almost 2/3 of the team on that flank. I'll be continuing to play conservatively until I have a better idea how the enemy team is distributed. Also have a Comet that popped up on the other side of the flank. Line up the IS and I get a hit. Looks like he's tracked out in the open, lining him up for the kill shot. And I knock him down. Did not get spotted in the engagement. Have an IS-3 spotted. Comet's doing a pretty nice job. An IS-6 was also spotted on this flank. Well, the Comet's taking a beating. He's in a really bad spot. Type 59 and lining him up. And I get a hit. I think he was tracked as well. IS-6 is lit, but in cover. He is backing up, so I am keeping an eye on him. The enemy team is pushing both the western flank and the middle. I'll need to keep an eye on both directions at the same time to protect my teammates in those locations. All the targets get unlit. Comet is lit again, facing off with our T30. I'm staying focused on the northern part of the flank. IS-6 is spotted, second IS-6, and he's at a range. First IS-6 just lights, but I change focus to the Comet, try to protect our T30. T30 hits him. He's staying behind the rocks, so I can't line him up. 122.44 gets lit up, but I haven't changed focus yet to him. And I just barely can see the top of his tank, but he slips back behind the rocks. Had a sliver of the Comet there for a second, but he pulled forward out of my line of fire. Waiting to see if he's going to pop out. And he does. Trying to line him up, and I miss. He's still out in the open, but he's backing back into cover. 122.44 is behind the rocks. I am keeping an eye on the minimap, and I do notice that the enemy is not pushing the other end of the flank. Our team is easily pushing the valley right now as they have overwhelming numbers. Waiting for the Comet to pop out. He's playing it pretty smooth here. He backs up a little too far, and I pop him in the back and track him. And we lose our T30. Missed my kill shot on the Comet, and he pulls back into cover behind the rocks. I'm going to have to stay focused on this flank as there's only a Jagdpanther covering. The enemy's Tier 8s are beginning to push in on our team on the northern flank. And I have noticed. I'm going to rotate back over now. IS-3 in the open, lining him up. Get hit on his front. Gonna stay focused on him because I can knock him down with my next hit. See if I can get to him before he jumps behind the rocks. And I do, and I knock him down. 2 IS-6s pushing in our T-29. The Su-122-44 comes out in the open. Our Jagdpanther knocks him down. Try to line up the IS-6 and I bounce. Trying to protect our T-29. Get a hit on the IS-6 that pushed forward. T-29's at 24 hit points. He's in trouble. Get a critical hit on the IS-6 and knock his track off. I've been spotted. Trying to get the kill shot on the IS-6. Take him down to 23 hit points on that hit. Second IS-6 is hiding behind the rocks, it looks like. GW Panther knocks down the IS-6. Actually, that IS-6 was in the open, trying to line him up. He spotted me, so I'm backing up. Bounce his shot. Try to fire back, but I snapped it off a little fast and he was partially behind cover. Looks like we're just down to an IS-6 on this flank. He's begun to withdraw somewhat. Enemy team is now down to 4 tanks, T-95, IS-6, Tiger II, and a Type 59. T-95, Type 59, and Tiger II are all on the opposite flank, so it's just the IS-6. Trying to let our T-25/2 spot the IS-6, but he's not really having any luck. IS-6 is definitely withdrawing now. I have shots at his rear, but unfortunately I've moved out of position. I'm not going to be able to turn and shoot on him in time, I don't believe. And he's disappeared. I'm hoping the T-25/2 can line him up again. Unfortunately, no luck there. With the enemy team whittled down and accounted for, I begin to push on the remaining enemy IS-6 on this flank. I still need to be a bit careful with only limited support and a low health T-25/2. T-25/2 is one-shottable. Enemy Tiger II goes down. Enemy does have a bit of an advantage in the south just because of the T-95 and how difficult it is to pin frontally, especially in tight quarters like that. But we do have a Jagdpanther flanking around behind him. This is a situation here where the T28 speed is a definite liability. IS-6 is faster. He won't be able to outmaneuver me except in extreme close quarters. But I'm going to have to push and push and push to catch up with him. Especially as it looked like he was completely withdrawing from the flank. We have a 5-tank lead at the moment. Team is trying hard to surround the T-95 as he's the only tank left on the southern flank. You can see how slow the T-28 is right here, basically just slowly creeping along. The tank is faster than T-95 at least, but not by much. T-25/2 is leading the way. He does need to be careful though. IS-6 will have no trouble knocking him down. T-95 knocks out our Jagdpanther. Likely means he turned. Leopard Prototype A is pushing the hill. So we'll have some support on this IS-6. He's begun capping the base. Although he's likely pushing through, trying to spot the IS-6. Not entirely, he's sitting on cap, and our T-28 prototype knocks down the T-95. That just leaves the IS-6. And we have a 5-tank lead. There's the IS-6 pushing back towards cap to take on our Leopard. Looks Looks like the Leopard's trying to flank around the IS-6. Got a pretty good spot here, so I'm going to stop, try to line up the IS-6. Take a blind fire. Looks like I missed. IS-6 is in the open now. Just need the Leopard to respot him for me. And I just noticed he's just beyond my view range. Pop him back into view range, take a shot. Unfortunately, he stopped moving in the direction I was expecting him to, so I missed. Leopard's doing a good job keeping him lit for me. I just need to get hits. There I go, I got a hit on him. Lining up the IS-6 again. That's how I bounce. The IS-6 has significantly improved armor since 8.6. Line him up again. Another bounce. No thought about switching to premium ammo here. I'll just keep throwing shots at him till I pin him. And I knock down the IS-6 for the win. Based on information from the WoT Replay Analyzer, I destroyed 3 tanks, damaged 3 more, hit 14 of 20 shots for 3,973 points of damage, and earned 1,472 experience before the double. Please note that XP and credit values in the screenshots are non-premium. Overall, this battle typifies the conservative tactics that should be employed with the T28. I took up an overwatch position on the less critical flank. While not the most exciting role for this map, it allowed the team to overload and push the eastern flank, easily taking the hill. The enemy tried to counter by pushing the western flank and middle, which we were able to stall and defeat. Once the enemy team was whittled down, I pushed up the western flank to pursue the final enemy on the flank. This decision was easy to make once I knew where all the enemies were located. The second replay that we'll be looking at is a solo battle on Redshire from June 21st, 2013. Please note that this is an 8.5 replay. The map for this battle is Redshire, and my basic strategy for this map is as follows. The key area on the map is the central hill. Depending on what base you start from will determine how the hill affects you. The northern base will use the hill as a sniper's nest, while the southern base needs to root those tanks out, otherwise advancing is difficult. The northern base has a definitive advantage over the southern base in this respect. The map typically devolves into a campfest, and the team that spots better typically wins. Flank pushes can be effective, but usually not early on, especially from the south. The north side can push the western flank, although things tend to get bogged down along the K-line. The eastern flank can be pushed by the south, but quickly bogs down at B7 as the hill snipers will stall any advance from that location. As noted at the top of the loading screen, this is a standard battle. Reviewing tank composition for this battle reveals the following. This is a tier 8 battle with 4 tier 8s on each team. My team has 3 tier 7s while the enemy team has 4. My team has 6 tier 6s while the enemy team has 4. My team has 2 RD pieces with a tier 5 and a tier 4 while the enemy team has 3 tier 4s. While I don't recognize anyone by name, the enemy team has a mixed Enjoy Sim platoon that I'll need to keep an eye on. As the battle loads in, I plan to climb the central hill and take up a position behind soft cover that gives me lanes of fire both up the middle and to the northeast. While I don't expect a middle push at this tier, sometimes mid-tier scouts will try to push this direction anyways, which usually ends in their quick death. A northern push is more likely, and I'll be able to overwatch that location. As the battle gets underway, I'll maybe start heading south and climb the hill. It's going to take me a while to get up there though, my tank is particularly slow. Doesn't look like much of the team's going to be heading to the east. I'll need to keep an eye on that. We just have a WZ-131 heading in that direction. Most of the team is headed up the hill or to the western flank. WZ-131's continuing to push unsupported. It's not a good sign. He spotted a T20. He's taking fire as he backs off. I am not in position to give support. Still climbing the hill. He's taking fire from the opposite hill. He's in bad shape right now and he's out in the open. And he gets knocked down. A little bit too aggressive. The team has failed to cover the northeastern flank. While I could cover the flank from the hill, I feel overly exposed to Artie in this location, so I decide to move to that flank. This should provide me better spotting opportunities as well, although it could be a huge mistake if the enemy team has mobile tanks on this flank. Probably the better solution to this predicament is to actually stay on the hill and let the enemy push that flank and then take them apart as they try to cross the field. The only danger of doing that though is you have a more difficult time spotting the enemy. We have a Cromwell pushing the middle here. And I'm out in the middle of the field, so I need to keep moving. I was actually going to turn back towards the Cromwell, but I turned back towards the T20, keep my armor in that direction. As all the enemies back off, I'll continue to head over to the cover of the rocks. Bounce a shot from someone. Bounce another shot. Re-square my armor. I take a track hit. It's from a T21. Also have a jumbo in front of me. I get a hit on him. T29 slightly to my right. He's not pointed at me, so I'm able to turn my armor back towards the jumbo and I knock him down. Lining up the T29. He's taking fire from the hill. And he gets knocked down by our KV-1S. Bouncing shots from every direction. Cromwell's putting fire on me right now. That likely is a hit from the Cromwell. There's the T21. Get a hit. Shuffling back and forth a little bit, trying not to take arty fire. I've got a T21 and a T20 in front of me at the very least. Cromwell's still in the middle. Super pushing the hill. That's two of the enemy's top platoon on the hill. Cromwell gets knocked down by our Indian Panzer. There's a super Pershing again. I don't have any shots on him from this area. Make the decision. I'm going to push into the gap here. Take on this T21. He tries to circle around me and I knock him down. Currently a tie score. I'm going to continue to push through the gap here. Enemy's top platoon is pushing the hill pretty hard. I'm expecting to run into the T20 any second. There he is in front of me. He shot at me but hit the ground. I'm backing off. He does have the mobility to circle around me. I need to be careful. Arty's trying to fire on him, but they are firing blind right now. T20's pushed up again. I bounce a shot, but I get a hit on him in return. Bounce a shot from something. Must be something up on the hill overwatching the position. Bounce another shot. It's a comet. He damages my track. Bounces another shot. Our Indian Panzer's pressing in. Churchill gun carrier spotted across the creek. There's the comet on top of the hill. I'm gonna line him up. And I get a hit. He's distracted trying to fire on the Indian Panzer. He has disappeared from view. Hoping he lights again. Take a blind shot. Not sure if I hit. Gonna try to finish him off here. Line him up. Knock him down. Got the Churchill gun carrier and the T20. The Indian Panzer's at 19 hit points, so he's in danger. Pushing forward as quickly as I can. He takes down the Churchill gun carrier. The T20 has dropped into the creek, so he's below my view. I'm going to have to try to flank him. Obviously not as strength of the T28. Something hits the T20. He's at 219 hit points. Trying to line him up from behind, and I knock him down. And the enemy grill knocks down our Indian Panzer. There's Arty missing on me, landing in the creek. I am going to continue to try to flank towards the enemy base. I bounce a shot likely from Arty. Arty rounds dropping around me again. Two more. With the northeastern gap cleared, I continue pushing the flank. Both enemy tanks are accounted for, giving me a clear run at the enemy base. I should also be able to get shots on the super Pershing on the hill as I make my way over. Enemy arty is likely near their cap. Lack of spotters on this side of the map should keep me arty safe. The enemy super Pershing is at D4. He's pushing our team. Should be able to get shots on him shortly. Currently a tie score. And we take a 1 tank lead. The super Pershing getting knocked down. Enemy's down to 1 tank and 3 arty. We lose our M7 priest. Tie score again. I'm continuing to press the enemy base. Type 59 gets spotted. Gonna twist around, see if I can get a shot on his back. Don't really have a shot right now. There's buildings in my way in the hill. Our M6 is charging him. He's gonna have a hard time penning him though. I had a sliver of the Type 59 and I miss. And our M6 knocks down the 59, but the grill gets the M6 at the same time. Turn back to continue to push on the enemy base. It's a tie score, but the enemy being just down to arty gives us a huge advantage here. Super Pershing is pushing down off the hill and pushing down the 3 line. I'm just a stone's throw from the enemy base. They should start lighting up arty very shortly. Their arty's had a pretty damn good game. They have 5 kills. I get spotted, but arty misses me. They're likely all lined up on my position. Do whatever maneuvering I can to try to slow them down a little bit. Take a hit by the M7 priest, lose my gunner, and I heal him with a med kit. I get tracked, but I lined up on the grill and I knock him down. I do not have a repair kit left, so I have to wait until my track repairs itself, but I do have repair on this crew, so it's not a big deal. Lining up the priest, and I knock him down. Enemy's down to just a grill, and I do not know where he is. There he is. He is on the other side of the hill, so I will not have a shot, so I'm going to jump into the cap circle just in case, and our super Pershing knocks down the grill for the win. Looking at the after action screens, I destroyed 6 tanks for a top gun, hit 11 of 12 shots for 3,527 points of damage, and earned 1,533 experience before the double. I also earned a steel wall, sniper, and Spartan medal. Overall, I started off playing a traditional role in this map by taking up a sniping position on the central hill. When I noticed that the team had failed to cover the northeastern flank, I made an unconventional call to move over and cover the flank myself. While this may have been a mistake, it worked out in my favor as I was able to engage and destroy the enemies that went in that location. I utilized my frontal armor effectively in the engagement by turning to face each enemy, getting some bounces and generally trying to conserve my health. The enemy likely could have overwhelmed me had they pushed on me, but I did have some support, which is likely why they held back. Once the flank was clear, I continued pushing on their base. While not an ideal role for the T28, I was able to get behind the enemies in the middle and spot their arty. Thank you for watching this episode of What I'm Thinking. Stay tuned for another episode soon. In the next episode, I will look at the T54E1, a Tier 9 American medium autoloader that doesn't require premium ammo to succeed.